When you're living on a particular vibration, and you're on that vibration in kind of a routine, habitual way, then you really you're going to perceive the world from that level of understanding. You're going to perceive the world on that vibration. And so what a lot of people are doing, and what we've all experienced in some way or another, is seeing life on a particular level of understanding. So what people are doing a lot of time is that they are living on a particular layer of reality. They're living at a particular frequency of reality, and they are, making the assumption that that level of understanding is the way that things universally are. But as you expand in consciousness, and it's why when you start having more spiritual experiences, you become more of a spiritual being, you interact with other spiritual beings, you start to realize how relative reality truly is. Because what happens is you start oscillating at different frequencies. And you realize when you're at different frequencies, your experience of reality is literally different. And depending on who you are and what kind of temperament you have, and how quickly you pass through these different frequencies, it really can have an impact on just how different your experiences are. And I notice now, just that there is a certain order to life. There's a certain order to my life, and I really can't nail down just one point of view, because it really depends on what is appropriate for the moment. Someone might ask me, what's your opinion on this? What's your point of view? And if I'm being honest, I say, well, there is a different way of looking at this one thing, depending on what level of understanding I'm on, who I'm talking to, where I'm seeing reality from. I could give you a number of different answers depending on what you're open to receive, what you're able to accommodate, and what you are basically willing to accept about what I'm going to say. There's a million different things you can say about any particular topic, because the frequency that you're on, the vibration that you're on, the point of view that you take is all subject to change. It's not as heavy or as dense or as rigid as we may have been conditioned to believe, or just simply have grown up to believe. Because as you grow older and you grow wiser and you grow more expanded in your understanding of reality, you realize that the bounds of reality are not as rigid as you think they are. They're far more liquid and malleable than you have been habitually led to believe. And so what is seemingly impossible on one level of reality is not only probable or possible on another level, but it is commonplace and normal on another level. Things that you are told, you can't heal this, or you can't do this, or you can't understand these things. Well, on one level of understanding, that may be true. But there are different layers to this reality, and there are different layers to your own being, and different layers to your own experience. It's all the same in essence, really. You're talking about one, you're talking about the other. The inner and the outer are all merged together seamlessly. So, what's possible on one level of reality, or impossible on one level of reality, as you go higher and you broaden your understanding, those things become normal. Not only probable, but possible. Totally commonplace. So frequency has so much to do with how you experience reality. In fact, you can go so far as to say it's everything. It's energy, Everything is energy, and how is it that that energy is being experienced? It changes based on your own relativity and your own relationship with yourself, ultimately. Because how open you are to yourself determines the receptivity that you're going to have to everything else around you. How willing are you to be a conduit of this higher channel, of this higher force, this higher power, and begin to erode the belief that there's a difference between you and this higher channel, that there's a difference between you, there's a separation between you and this higher being, this higher self, this higher power. How willing are you to erode that belief? Because it's very natural to, when you open yourself up in this way, it's very natural to simply merge with the higher energy and the higher power that's flowing through you and wanting to be expressed in the world, and the seeming need to retain your sense of autonomy, your sense of separation from the higher source, from the higher being. That need erodes also, because you realize you're not a leaf in a windstorm. You're not getting swept up in something that's ultimately uncaring. No, you are one with the providence of life. It is love itself, and it does care. It does care deeply about you. It does care deeply about you. And yet it's not a sense of fruitless attachment or needless fixation or anything like that. No, it's God gives you the freedom to be yourself. And you can say all kinds of things about what God is or what God isn't, but again, that is completely relative to where you perceive it from. It all depends on where you perceive reality from. What level of understanding are you on? What vibration are you on? What frequency are you on? There's all kinds of ways to look at it. But it all comes back to being open in yourself, because the openness you have with yourself and what you are willing to understand and accept about yourself is what you're willing to understand and accept about the world around you and the seeming quote-unquote other people in your life, because they ultimately are just reflections of yourself. And the frequency that you inhabit and the frequency you project is going to then factor in what kind of responses you get from other people, what kind of interactions you're going to have with them, and what life is going to be able to offer you. And so it's really just a matter of what is the right frequency for you to be on? What is the highest level of understanding and perhaps the broadest understanding that you have achieved or have been made open to, or made available to you? Because that is what you must honor now. And that's what is going to get you the most harmonious and providential, healthiest, most natural results in your life. It's going to come from honoring that highest, most broadest understanding that you have come into contact with, that you have developed an affinity towards, an affinity for. So it's really just about being yourself. This is what it means. You can say all kinds of things. You can, like, what is it to be yourself? People say that all the time, but when you really get into it, it's like it's the powers of the universe. It's God and it's spirit and it's love and it's light and it's beauty and it's providence and it's all the stuff. And that's all wrapped up in that one statement, just to be yourself. Because it goes so much more than just the body or the conditioning or like your brain or, just the way that you've been conditioned to believe yourself, just beyond your culture. It goes beyond any idea that you have of yourself ultimately. Because you are not an abstraction in your own mind. You are that which is consciousness. You are that which observes the abstractions. You are that which is aware of the conditioning, and you get to choose whether you're going to stay on that level of conditioning or not. You are the one who's aware of the different frequencies and aware of the different relativities, and you're aware that, when I'm feeling this way or I'm thinking this way, the world appears this way to me. But when I shift my perception, I let this thing go, I open up to this other thing, then that reality shifts for me and I see things differently, I experience things differently. And it can be even so, palpable sometimes that it's like I almost become a different person from what I used to be or how I used to look at things, because the frequency changes, the understanding changes. You open up in a powerful way, and that allows new possibilities to flow into your life.